welcome back to Roundtable Depression. I need a hug, sadness, misery. There's supposed to be 6 people. There's 4 people. We have 6 documentaries. Still. Classic theme of Roundtable. I give everybody a month. I let everybody know, hey, well in advance, like, hey, this is the date. Don't switch it. Still, to this day, I get to drop out almost an episode, so that's kind of crazy. Maybe I should just stop inviting a certain group. I'll give that some thought. Yeah, we did documentaries. Nobody picked happy documentaries. Not one person picked a happy documentary. So we had Cameron Holtzman. Cameron Holtzman dropped out like night 1 of the group chat. We decided to nix what he picked because it was like, no offense, I don't know what that is. Maybe somebody's like favorite thing.
It was the closest thing to
really
a happy doc, but
it's really good. Actually.
It would have been nice.
That could be a really good thing. I just saw the runtime and something subject matter I had no idea about, and I was just like, what if we do this one? It's probably good. Go check it out. What is the Sparks Brothers?
Sparks Brothers, yeah. Edgar Wright.
Watch it, enjoy it, have fun. Me, no. We decided to do a baseball documentary of catching hell, which just turned out to be like 30 minutes of Red Sox hell, which was not what I signed up for. I just wanted the Cubs to be miserable. So that's in place of that. Koho's supposed to be here. He picked The Thin Blue Line, documentary 1988. Why he picked it, I'm pretty sure he just saw like top rated. He wanted to give everybody, he said, you can use this if you want. I want to pick the OJ documentary that's like 470 minutes or
it's
whatever.
Like 7 hours.
I said, no. No. We could just do that.
Of course, if you watch it on 2 times speed, it's only 3.5 hours.
Right. So that's that. Mark, back on the show, back on documentary. You brought a documentary. I don't think you really got weird, but you did get fucking just depressing, like just sad. Like, oh, so why'd you pick what you picked?
I wanted to.
It's not on Letterboxd either, which pisses me off.
Yeah, it wasn't on. It's only, the only thing that's on Letterboxd is the hour episode that you can see. But no, small preface. I had to go to the store before this show because and people like to know I like to enjoy a beer during the show. I ran out of beer and I was not doing this bullshit sober. We're gonna make sure we got plenty. I brought Trophy Kids, which I saw honestly because I saw that hour episode State of Play. It's an hour episode State of Play. I thought it was really neat, and after seeing on HBO Max, it was there. Picked it. That'd be interesting to talk about.
I've told everybody what we're doing. I'm gonna actually move Catching Hell to the first thing we're gonna talk about, and I'm gonna move Trophy Kids because I think Trophy Kids is a little bit more discussion wise. So we'll move that to me. But that's what that's. Matt, I always love getting Matt on the show. I don't want to over ask him where he just gets worn out of me asking him, but I would ask him more times than most people in this community because he always brings something interesting. And let me tell you, you didn't disappoint. I'm really glad that I had the movies that we're talking about, especially some of these. Don't watch this episode just because you're feeling nice and you want to give us a click. Just don't. Especially Matt's movie, just zero, blind as can be, is the best thing. So, Matt, what'd you bring and why?
I brought Dear Zachary, a letter to a son about his father. I brought this. I've seen a lot of documentaries, and in fact, I've never felt this way, even watch anything. And then no film has ever made me feel the way that this documentary has made me feel. It's one of the most emotional roller coasters. It's got ups and downs. It's something that once you see it, you'll never forget. So I thought that's something that more people should see. And I'm sorry.
I couldn't agree more. But I think this is similar with everybody. But I think it's the documentary that if I I need a documentary, I would almost recommend this one. Just in case you know nothing. It's a mind blow. And I'd warn that. But I think it's one of those. I'm so glad I knew nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you still don't know nothing like halfway through. Like this movie has twists and turns. We'll talk about that. Scott, what'd you bring?
Hi, I brought strangely one of the more uplifting ones that we watched. Strangely enough, because it's about a mass shooting. But I brought the 2016 documentary Tower, directed by Keith Maitland, that is about the 1966 University of Texas mass shooting, which is one of the first major mass shootings in the United States. But it's a rotoscope animation documentary. It is really less focused on the story of what happened and more of the people who were involved in all of this, the victims and the people who happened to be there that day. And it's a really cool and unique documentary. It's pretty short, so I thought it would be, a great watch for everyone.
Yeah, and this next one is going to surprise, I think most of the community. My favorite animal in the entire world. I know we're not 5 years old anymore. What's your favorite animal? I love orca whales. I find them fascinating. I pick Blackfish. So my favorite animal, I get to see them tortured for an hour and 20 minutes. My hate for SeaWorld is something that I can't talk at length. I hate SeaWorld with everything in me. But I picked Blackfish because I'm very bad with documentaries. I don't watch a ton. If you go to my overall stats, I've had Letterboxd since 2019, and I think I have 12 logged. So I 50% increase on just this episode alone. So hats off to me. But yeah, Blackfish was one of those that I didn't know the story at all. It never made sense to me. That's a big whale. Why is it in a swimming pool? But the fact and how they got to that point, it makes me sick. So we'll talk about that. The very first one we're going to talk about, open discussion wise, is I just moved it. Catching Hell. Catching Hell. I don't know. I know me and Scott are very pro baseball. Are kind of our mood sometimes is dependent on how our teams do in baseball, and it's a 162 game season. So I knew about the Chicago Cubs, Moises Alou, foul ball, messed up with the fans, and I knew about Bill Buckner through the legs too. I knew that one all too well. Taylor Swift. So who else? Did anybody else know about this event that happened for the Chicago Cubs, or was it just?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody did know. So that's interesting. I think it's just the fact that old stadium and basically how baseball was back then, without instant replays and all that stuff, could have given Steve Barton a lot of cover fire. But this man stood out above everybody. He had headsets on his headset, green sweatshirt. There's a lot of people reaching for that ball. A lot of people were reaching for that ball. So I am one in the camp that now Red Sox in this situation, we're going to stone him in the street. This dude is.
Thank God it wasn't Boston. Yeah.
Oh, he would have been dead. He would have been.
Yeah.
A beer would have been the least of that man's worry. That man in New York, in Boston, that man's dead. L.A., over. So the Cubs were one of those loser. It was the Cubs and I guess the Cubs at the time, Indians and Red Sox, that were just never going to get that elusive championship.
And the White Sox also for a long time.
Yeah, they were going for so long, and the Cubs looked like the one team. Well, it said the Red Sox and us were that. We had the Game 7 walk-off with Aaron Boone. So that heartbreak, but to reach into that's just a crazy doc. I didn't love this documentary as much as I loved all the other ones because I just felt like I was too into that moment. I knew that moment from child. I watched that playoff game. I remember clear as day what happened. So I guess no one's here Cubs fans. I guess Scully would be the best to represent because he's from Chicago.
No, he's a Red Sox fan.
He is a Red Sox fan, but his family is big Chicago Cubs. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious. So what did you guys think overall of the doc?
Yeah, well, I'll go. I mean, I really enjoy this. This is one that I suggested when we were thinking of another documentary to come up with. This is part of the ESPN 30 for 30 series, which they've been doing for many years now, which is so good and which I highly recommend that everyone check out. Because they're whether you're a sports fan or not, I think the best entries in the series are the ones that sort of combine sports with these like human interest stories, and that's what Catching Hell does, I think, because it's not just about baseball. It is about sort of this phenomenon of scapegoating people in sports, which it's almost like gets into psychology a little bit at certain parts, like why as a society, why as fans of a team do we feel the need to do this, right? To point the finger at one person when the reality is that there's a myriad of different events that led to the undesirable result, right? Now it's become sort of famous to know as well that Alex Gonzalez had the error right after that because of in season 2 of The Bear, in the finale, if you guys watch The Bear, Oliver Platt like has a whole metaphor about it that he tells the whole story, and he talks about the Alex Gonzalez part to Carmi. But anyway, and yeah, it takes this like very sort of so in addition to doing that, it takes like this very sort of Zapruder like, we're going to just break down every inch of this like incident that happened. I think it's really cool, some of the stuff they do, like when they eliminate all the fans and you just see like what it would look like if it was just Moises Alou and Bartman standing there or whatever. They try to figure out, would he have caught the ball or not, because we don't know.
Moises Alou was not a great fielder. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't think he makes the catch.
And they interview all these people who were there. They interview Moises Alou, even talk to the guy who briefly tracked down Bartman in a parking garage. But it's a fascinating examination, sort of, again, of this. Why do we do this? Why do we feel the need to blame this one person? And it's an extreme example of that, because this guy's life is, I mean, it was ruined. I mean, it was forever changed, at least for the negative. Like, everyone knows the name Steve Bartman now, certainly in Chicago. Like he can't, still to this day, now they have forgiven him a little bit because
they sent him Cubs, a championship ring, right?
Yeah. The Cubs won the World Series in 2016. So I'm told. I don't remember anything about that, but the Cubs did win the World Series then. But even still, they're like, come to the game. We want you to throw out the first pitch or whatever, and he won't do it, right? Because he's been scarred by this, right? And it's like, we as fans, and Cody and I especially, like he was saying, we understand that sports can just be more than a game sometimes, but this looks at the toxic and negative side of that as well, when you take it so personally that you don't have a regard for some other person's well-being because you falsely believe that they've cost your team something.
I think it's interesting too, because what they do is how both situations they talk about in this game happen in Game 6. There was a Game 7 that everybody just like. Red Sox had a chance to win the World Series the very next night. The Cubs had the very next chance to go to the World Series by winning that next game, and they just didn't do it. So it's like, it wasn't like there was the error, but like, even this is kind of the interesting thing is like 2004 Red Sox, Gary Sheffield just came out and said, I'm sick of them talking about all this stuff. It was luck that got them the win. That's the only thing that, well, yes, it's baseball. Like, you have to have talent, but you also have to put a ball where 9 fielders are not and score runs based on it. So there's a luck that gets into every aspect of this game. The same thing is, like, I, as a baseball fan, know Moises Alou is a negative fielder. Like, yes, he is going to make that attempt into the field. Like, he's going to make the try, but he's probably not coming down with that ball. He's scapegoated, and his reaction ruined Star. No. It's just 100%. If he would have been like...
But here's the thing. When they interview him, and this is one of the better parts, I think, in the documentary, and they're like, well, did you think about the fact, that your reaction, whatever, could have played into all this? He's like, you don't think about that stuff when you're in the moment. And honestly, I empathize with him about that,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because like he's just trying to catch a foul ball in a key moment in a playoff game, right? Like, yes, he's going to express some frustration, right? I don't think it's on him
No.
to not express what he's feeling in that moment, like, and suddenly to take away the responsibility from the people who interpreted that and then just went insane.
That's just the same thing with the fan at the ball game trying to catch the foul ball, and you saw that everyone around him was trying to catch it too.
So, and every one of them went.
Oh yeah, he's the one that touched it.
You see 8 hands basically go around that ball. Bartman is the one that stands out because like he doesn't even end up getting the ball. Like I like the one where he turns around and is like, did I do anything wrong?
You guys think I did anything wrong? Yeah, that's like
no,
so sad,
but,
honestly.
But then the other person, and then like that one fan that's such the worst baseball fan of all time. Like, I got my way down there. Show me that guy. I've been kicked out of a few stadiums. Like, shut the fuck. Like, I was so over this guy. I was like, you're the epitome. Like, if you weren't a Cubs, you're a Yankee fan. Like, 100%. Like, can't stand him. Just like, yeah, I threw beer on him. Like,
what would have happened if it was The Rock that did that? Would people have said all the same shit?
Yeah, like
they're like, oh, no, hey, understandable. We'll sit back.
It's like, but it's 100% that like we all find those moments to scapegoat because it's like it's Bartman. It wasn't the error. It wasn't that Pryor started getting hit around. It wasn't Dusty, sending to the pin. Mike Lowell was like, let's make him famous. Like, let's make it a moment. Let's come back and win this. Which, again, that team, like, they try to act like that team's a pushover. Like, at all. Like, yeah, you were in command.
No,
you and Miguel Cabrera.
Not to go all baseball nerd, but like the Marlins were like rebuilding that year. And then you look at their lineup now in retrospect, and it's like, damn, they were loaded like that. And they had great pitchers too, but
yeah, they had Josh Beckett. They had like
a
young Miguel Cabrera. Like this team was just poised to just do. And the Cubs were the Cubs. I mean, I think it's funny, but back to the moral of the story, like the scapegoat. We all find that one thing in sports to reasoning why this happened the way it did. Like Buckner, yes, led around the thing, and I thought it was crazy. I've seen a lot of Red Sox clips. I have never seen the 12 days prior to the World Series of hearing him say the worst thing you can do is like, why the fuck would you
let
say
the ground ball
that?
go through your legs? Yeah.
Like, I was like, there is no way you said that. Like, and then you hear him like Bucky fucking Dent, like fuck that, like they're so mad, like. And the funny thing is, the end of his career, so like he goes to 86. In 1990, they trade back for Buckner, and he ends his season career with the Red Sox, which I think, and he got standing ovation and stuff. So some people like returned like for him, but some people still hate him to this day. I bet everybody, like if you're a sports fan, has that one player or that one moment that just like eats you a lot. Like good player, whatever. You hate them. Like. No one will ever tell me that Manny Machado is a good baseball player. Manny Machado is a criminal. He took Justin Pedroia's career from him. I will never forgive that man. It's just you find that moment, that one little scapegoat, and you'll ride it forever. And then a championship. And again, they don't even know if they beat the Yankees. Like the next year, that wasn't even for the World Series. That was just to get a ticket to it, which I think is crazy. Mark, what did you overall feel?
I liked it quite a bit. It was one that I saw. I just kind of fell because I saw it years prior. I think around the time it came out. Like it was around the time I was trying to watch. I was watching all those 30 for 30s, and I thought it was kind of interesting. What was interesting is like I was in college. My roommate at the time was like he's from Illinois, big Chicago fan all around. I had to ask him. I brought up the Bartman thing, and like I just kind of see the light go from his eyes. But what I find, the thing I found kind of interesting is kind of remembering this as a kid, because around that time I was I was like 12, and like my mom was a principal, so like I never went home like early. I kind of waited till she was done. I go in the library and watch TV, and I would watch like PTI and like Around the Horn, and I just remembered like for like 2 months they just would not shut the fuck up about Steve Barker. They just kept fucking talking about him. They kept bringing him up. They kept bringing up his dumb face. And like honestly, going around this time, the looking at this movie through the media perspective, like really made me hate every one of those guys. I kind of saw all of them as just total fucking scumbags. Like I can't remember like that one newscaster guy who they talked to a lot, who was talking about how like they didn't really see it wrong with like giving away Bartman's like address and like telling people where he worked. I'm like, are you guys fucking nuts? Like, did you just like see what happened like just the day before? Like, what do you mean? And like everybody thinks the Cubs are cursed. Like, do you really think? And which you kind of bring up like that moment, like they had a game 7 to win. Although bring it up from a fan perspective, sometimes you just know that it's over.
The
Like
Bernie Mac thing too.
Yeah,
I mean, because
no.
the 20, I was bringing 2014. Yeah, no, wait, 2013 NBA Finals Game 6. I knew once Ray Allen hit that three, it was over. We lost.
Once the
That was a
once the
shock.
Cubs won games 5 and 6 against the Indians in the 2016 World Series, after we were 3-1 up, sending it to game 7, there's no way in hell that I thought we were going to win a game 7 after losing 2 in a row. Yeah, you're right, Mark. You do just know sometimes.
I am never out of a series anymore, and I am fortunate. I'm the one
Yeah.
fan base that can really say that. But like, 2004 again. Speaking of 30 for 30, go watch 4 Nights in October.
It was almost brought up. I almost picked.
I wish if we ever do this again, it will bring it. I tried to sell my kids. I tried to sell my kids on watching it today. I was like, "Do you want to know about defeating an evil empire, reversing a curse, finding your heart and your character, like doing everything I can to just like describe it?" They're like, "What's it about?" I was like, "Baseball." I was like, "No." I was like, "Dang it!" But yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm with you because like Around the Horn. I don't what is it? Pardon the interruption.
Yeah,
they were all. He was a Chicago guy, so like he would live that for the rest of his life. But I agree. Any more on this before we skip over and get scores? I don't want to cut everybody off.
Can we just all admit it right now that he could be Joseph Olivas's doppelganger?
100%.
Honestly, I think that I thought of that the first time I saw Joseph.
Game 7 was 9-6. Yeah, that's crazy.
Also, the only other thing I'd add is that in Charlotte, there's a local ice cream shop that has a Bartman ice cream, and it has Butterfingers in it, Butterfinger candy bar in it. That's why it's called the Bartman. It's pretty fun.
Just this is not a sports podcast. I haven't got your thing. Do you condone your actions from your owner of the Carolina Panthers throwing a drink on a fan?
Hell no. I was hoping that he would be completely thrown out of the game of football.
Okay. I just wanted to get that on the record. I wanted you to be able to speak on
for other reasons, but also for that too. But
That's fair. So the next one, Koho picked The Thin Blue Line.
Oh, are we doing ratings or?
Oh shoot, yeah, ratings on Catching Hell. I gave it 4 stars. 4. Mark.
I give it 4.5. I liked it a lot the first time. I was really glad I got to revisit it. It's still incredibly interesting.
Yeah, it would have been maybe higher, but that Red Sox stuff was completely uncalled for. Matt.
Yeah, I'll put it right at like 4. It's 3.54, but yeah, 4.
And Scott.
I give it 4.5. Yeah, it's up there in the upper, the S tier of 30 for 30s for me.
All right. Well, we're not gonna. I guess we're going down no happier at all. Thin Blue Line. And I'm really interested in the Scott's here. Like, I know, like he's not like a lawyer in the criminal system and like does this stuff, but I think it's just fascinating.
I am a criminal defense attorney. I mean,
yes, that's true. And this is a perfect person to have on here. Yeah, this is crazy. This is This was. I thought at first, this is the dumb brain in me, little like I was getting confused, like hard to follow at first, but I don't know why it had hard to follow because of the two people. I'm like that, but this is like, I guess the true story. I don't know, like you know how Netflix did that Catching a Murderer or Making a
Murderer, yeah.
Whatever the case may be. I don't know if that story is even accurate, fall, whatever the case. That one's Netflix. But this one just like a real life situation that ended up having like crazy that the guy just like the situation, like set up the situation, guy starts the doc, interesting, like gonna get a job working, gets picked up by a guy that stole his dad's car and guns in it. They start driving, he doesn't know why. They end up killing a cop. They end up finding the guy that makes him try to sign a statement, like a mission of guilt. Like, you're gonna sign that? I'm not signing that. Pulls his gun on him. Like, such corrupt like police like work in general on this. They literally just hang that female the female cop, like she doesn't remember anything, like she's just useless. Like
different
how does she remembers a license plate from a while ago, she doesn't remember this one, and like it makes me sick to my stomach, kind of like how even if you're in the wrong situation or whatever, but you could literally take the fall and be gone for however long. So did anybody else see this prior to this? I'm curious.
No.
I've wanted to for many years because, like you say in the intro, it is known as one of like the greatest documentaries, and Errol Morris obviously is like one of the big names in documentary filmmaking.
So what does everybody's feel on this one?
I'll start. It's a little weird because that was weird. Okay, another one goes. All right. But like I did, like just kind of on the outset, like just we get into the story. It's super, and then we kind of go, which I don't think I thought much of it at the time, but I guess like it was a big thing. We saw like that reenactment of like what the actual murder was, and I guess like that for whatever reason people didn't think it was a real documentary because we saw acting in it. I don't know, it's a weird fucking thing, but
milkshake.
Yeah,
which going to that cop, I was like, I don't know, like I kind of, I don't know, I thought this female officer was, at least bad at her job, and then she just sit in the car just drinking a milkshake, and then also couldn't hit the car. I mean, like, what are we doing here? Like wasn't even that far away. Like, I mean, I think the thing that does kind of get me is that for whatever reason, like, I mean, we'll just kind of get into it, is how the cops essentially caught the guy and then let him tell a story and they believed it. And for whatever reason, like they didn't want to take that guy in, even though like his story, just listening to it, makes no sense.
He wasn't old enough for the death penalty.
That's exactly what it is. He wasn't old enough.
Yeah, it was like my 7-year-old telling me a story of why he was not supposed to do what he's done and trying to convince me that it was his sister. Like, I was sitting there, I was like, no, but that's 100%. I think that's where it boils down. He was too young, and they needed a person to go down for a cop killing. It's just what it turned out to be.
Everyone is telling the story that they need to tell to get whatever it is they want. That's the whole thing in the movie. It is.
Can we talk about the MVP of this movie?
Which one of the random witnesses are you going to say?
The old lady that says, these two people fucking suck. Like,
she just needs to mind her own business.
Just mind their own business. Comes out of the blue, like these two people that saw everything, and they're talking about like how everything worked, and like
they're lying about everything.
I can't about everything. We got a call from these two suck. These two lie. This is going on and on. I was like, yeah, let's go. But overall, like, yeah, and I think like even when not to jump to the end, but like when it was the end or whatever, they were like, no, you can't, not going to redeem or make him seem like a credible person or whatever because of a cop killing. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, there's no way that if we reverse it this way, he's walking free, and that's not going to happen. He got sentenced to the death penalty, but they reversed it to life without parole, or life with parole.
Community the sentence.
Yeah,
I don't think no parole.
Eventually, he gets out.
He gets
out,
yeah,
but like
yeah.
the reasoning why they are able to drop and it doesn't get a retrial is because they switch it to, or they drop it to life without parole or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, no,
and I'm just like.
But then you have the bombshells that the other dude is just sitting in prison because he he killed somebody or rape or something, right? Like the other guy,
like assaulted and robbery, a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah,
he ends up going there. He just goes late, and the other guy gets 12. He serves 12 years.
Yeah, he serves 12 years. Yeah,
which may be the creepiest guy I think I've ever seen on camera. Who I guess the guy who is actually the killer is like, man, like this is like I don't want to ever. I would hope I'm never alone with you. Like you just there's no emotion in in anything you're saying.
The story in general is just so like weird. Like he just like picks this guy up or whatever when he has car trouble, and then they're just like hanging out for like a couple days or whatever.
They go to the movies. They're
just like, hey man. Can you help me get a job? When
I'm watching it for the first time, when the beginning starts, I'm like, okay, guy's got a job, car breaks down, picks him up, gets pulled over immediately, shoots this guy. I'm like, what the fuck? It's kind of like there's a movie like that, but like the guy starts like Collateral, almost like the dude's driving, but then he's committing crime. Like, whoa, no, I'm just a driver. So this guy's like, I got in the wrong guy's car. No. Then they start going, we went to the movies. We went to the club. Blah, blah, blah. Who are you hanging out with? You don't have a choice, but like, what? And then when they show the guy the first, I'm like, oh, well, this is the criminal. Like, this is, you're sitting there like, no, not signing it, not doing that. Just nothing. His eyebrows never moved. And then they bring up the other saying, oh, this is the good old boy that gets locked away and doesn't, rolls over 100% where it's at. I'm just like, I thought it was done really well. I thought like how it was directed and like how the story just flowed. It worked really well for me. And again, this has like high praise on it, so that makes kind of sense. But like I was expecting a lot of people like this. I just was like dumbfounded. I still just don't understand. We're like, well, we'll reverse it. We'll just give you life with parole, without parole, but we'll take away the death penalty. What the fuck are you talking? Give me a retrial. I don't get a say in this matter. No,
like we don't really have the evidence for a retrial, so we can't do that.
I was just like, and what was that? Like he said this, it's that thin blue line, like what it is. But like I'm giving
it's. The rhetoric that they use about the police in this is just one of the dumbest things. Like the judge and everybody just like you like basically just saying you have committed the most heinous act that a person could possibly commit. Not killing a person, but killing a police officer, right? Who would do such a thing, right? Like who would kill our fine noble police officer? I'm not advocating for that, just to be clear. I'm not advocating for that.
We're not saying it's good or bad.
But the thing is, that's what leads to this whole scenario, because it's like, well, the police, they're out here protecting, our society or whatever. These are the best of the best. Somebody kills them. Our only option is to give them the death penalty, because what kind of message does that send, right? If we just say, oh yeah, you can live for killing a cop.
We're gonna get the prosecutor with a perfect record to put him away.
Oh my gosh.
And then the judge is like, I don't get emotional from the bench. That's not a job. But when they said that thin blue line, I had to hold back I'm like, the fuck are you? Shut up. But then I'm gonna give a pass to the female cop. Okay. We don't know what was uttered to each other, but she's sitting there just drinking a milkshake. Guy comes out with a taillight buster, like, you need me? No, I got it. We're fine. Just sit there, enjoy the thing. Then a shot goes down. Hey, try to remember. Fuck, I don't know. Like, it happened so fast. They didn't just stop and stand there. They shot and drove. Like, it was like it just didn't make sense. She remembered one from she probably wrote it down. She could have punched it. Like, what are we talking about? Like, it was just weird how they were like, how dare you do this crime? I was like,
this is the movie that pretty much launched like the true crime genre, the ID channel, all that stuff. This was like the first one that had like the reenactment stuff, like the way they did it. It's got the good Philip Glass score in there with the music and stuff.
Awesome
so
score.
It's a really well-made documentary. I mean, you'll see some like crazier true crime stories and stuff with some crazier videos and stuff. But yeah, as far as being a well-made film, yeah, this one definitely launched it all.
Also, I don't know how much you guys know, but looked into Errol Morris, but like he was literally like he made a couple of documentaries, and then he was literally like a private detective for a few years, just like to pass the time and to make money. Like, and he comes across the story of the doctor, right? The death doctor or whatever, the guy who just testifies that everyone is so crazy, like that they have to be sent to the chair. That leads him to this whole thing. Yeah.
The guy just sitting there is like, well, what do you think? Like, well, I think of this. I'm like, well, thank you. Like, he needs death. What the fuck?
I feel bad for that guy. He was going to have a documentary made about him.
This man has no criminal record. This man has no priors, no nothing. Just one time, shoot him. Kill him dead. This dude will do it again and again.
What you feel.
Our people are looking for results.
Numbers are booming. Like, I'm getting a lot of counts. Like, what are we doing? It was crazy.
It just, like I said, it all comes back to, I think the point of the whole thing is just everybody has an agenda. With what they're saying. I mean, whether it's the witnesses who show up in the trial, they all want something, whether it's, attention or money or whatever it is, whether it's, the people, the prosecutors, the police, they all, want justice, which to them is to kill this guy because they can. The guy in jail, but both of the guys in jail have their own agenda. I mean, again, the main guy who's wrongfully accused, like, yes, he's wrongfully accused. We know that now. He was let out, but he has his own agenda and telling his story the way that he tells it in here, because it's a documentary, it's a movie, it's going to be out in the world, and he wants to get out of jail. He wants people, to see his story.
And then when he got out, he tried to sue the director because he wanted to make sure that he had the rights to his story.
Yes,
and nobody else was profiting off of it.
Funny you should mention that, but yeah, and so I think that's a really, it's a very interesting perspective on the criminal justice system, probably very accurate, and who would be a juror, right? Because this movie is kind of putting you in the shoes of the juror and saying, you guys, figure out, amidst all of this, people lying and people, presenting characters and, doing all this self-serving stuff, you're expected to figure out the truth from all this.
I'm sure everything's fine now.
Yeah.
Well, he's dead, so
Errol Morris made a movie this year, though. So.
Oh, nice. Okay, so we'll get scores. I'm 4.5 stars. I really like this one a lot. I think was crazy. Scott.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite first-time watches from last year. It's 5 stars for me. I think it's it's an instant classic in terms of documentaries. Like, I absolutely get why it is held in the high esteem. Not just the story it tells, but the way that it tells it, and the fact that it's interested in a lot more than just, oh hey, this was a crazy story. Which is, I think, honestly, that's the takeaway from a lot of these documentaries that we're going to talk about, and why I think a lot of them are really good, is because they're not just, here's what happened, damn, that's crazy. It's like, well, what can we learn from this?
Matt, was the dog given the star rating of 5 stars as well? Or
yeah, that was my wife getting home, so the puppies got excited. But yeah, I would definitely give it I'm gonna say 4 stars. I think that just because it might not have hit as hard now because of everything that I've seen since this, but yeah, it's definitely undeniably a very powerful one, and it sets the bar for everything that comes after it.
Mark.
Yeah, well, as you all know, I love watching movies that highlight how much my state loves the death penalty. So I would give it 4 stars. It's quite the interesting watch.
That's fair. Now on to the most misunderstood sea animal of all time. We're going to Blackfish. I joked about this, I think, when there's documentaries. Like, what do I pick? Blackfish? Because it's one that I actually saw. I'm glad I did, overall. I don't enjoy this movie for what it is, but I like the awareness that it brings to it. Because I think, like, the term killer whales is, like, doesn't, like, overall gives, like, a misguided of what these animals really are. Like, never heard of no, like, don't have any record of killing any human in the wild whatsoever. There are countless videos of people swimming in the oceans with them with no attacks whatsoever. Honestly, there's even some that, like, bring them, like, they go to get humans to help them, and then, like, there's one that I saw is, like, tries to give him a stingray as, like, a treat. Like, he brings him food to this human for saving, like, their mom or whatever. I think it's just I think they're super intelligent animals. The stuff I didn't know about this movie when I watched it about how, like, SeaWorld, how they got the whales is probably some of the most fucked up situations I've ever heard in my life. That they got the babies and they literally just tied anchors and weights to the moms and dad and sunk them to the bottom of the ocean and then put them in giant pools. And again, I do not, like, these people had it coming, or like Dawn deserved to die. Like, that's not my take on it at all. They were doing a job as is. But if you put me inside of a pool and say, this is where I have to, or a room, if you put me in a single room and say, this is it, I'm smashing my head against stuff. Like, I'm going crazy. And, like, that's what Tilikum did. Tilikum was bred. He was a show pony. He was just all this thing. The only person that probably had it coming was the person that broke into SeaWorld and decided to swim naked with the killer whale. Like, food time, like, gone. But yeah, I think it's a heartbreaking tale, like, because these animals and, like, the light that it all brought to them and how misguided, like, everybody at SeaWorld really is. Like, oh, they live like this. Like, there's counts of, like, decades upon decades of them outside and such limited life inside. So, did anybody see this movie prior?
I remember it, but never saw it.
Okay. So, overall thoughts, Touch, go ahead. I can talk forever, but I understand if it's not for everybody.
This was actually I think this was the hardest one for me to watch because there was, like, nothing good happening in this movie. It's just horrible thing after horrible thing. Like, you're talking about the scenes where they're actually capturing the babies and separating them, taking them from the family, and the fisherman was talking about how horrible he felt, and just hearing the family and the baby trying to communicate with each other. And when they shipped the other baby from the park, and they were talking about the mother just screaming and stuff the whole time, trying to communicate, like the loudest they've ever heard, trying to just get as far to spin the word. I was like, oh, it was rough. And seeing the poor whale getting abused by the other whales in the small tanks. I mean, every time that they showed, like, a person getting attacked, I was rooting for the whales.
I don't blame that mentality, because what do you expect them to just? I think it's interesting, like, how Dawn did end up getting attacked, because like, they're so coordinated and thought that that he did it right to get the treat, and when he didn't, he acted out. And I think it's just, like, shows a different level. Like, these are the apex predators. Like, There's no one that stands against these in the ocean. Like great whites do not stand a chance against like orcas. Like they are insane. Like they're how intelligent they are. Like I think everybody's seen like the seal on the ice, and 3 of them just swimming underneath to knock them off. Like they know exactly what they're doing. Scott, I'm interested to see what you thought.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I kept thinking about last time I was on Roundtable. We talked about another documentary, which was Michael Jackson's "This Is It," brought by Koho. And my comment on that movie was that it was obvious what the movie was. It was just like they just had this footage, and they just decided to just throw it together because he died. And to me, I felt similarly, although not as negative on this movie. I did like the movie overall. I am positive on the movie. But I feel like, you mentioned it's a short movie. I do think it's kind of thin, and I do think it is very heavily reliant on, these 2 or 3 major sections of footage that they have of what happened. Yeah. And the footage is crazy, right? I mean, the guy who just repeatedly keeps getting pulled under, I don't know how he survived. I mean, that was just insane. And then him, like, he finally gets free, and he's like basically swimming for his life to like get away, get out of the pool. I mean, just wild stuff to watch. But I don't know if there's enough of a movie outside of the footage. That's kind of my overall thought. Like, they want to tell the story about, hey, this is happening to whales, and that the theme parks and everything are just ignoring all the information that's there. They know the risks, but they're just putting people in danger because it's capitalism, right? But it really just kind of skims the surface. I think we're mainly just talking about this one whale the entire time. There's a little bit of, oh, hey, there's this other whale or this thing happened, but that's five minutes or so of the movie. And so, I mean, it's a very compelling watch. It sheds light on something that I think a lot of people probably were not aware of. I mean, think about how many people go to SeaWorld in a given year. I think it's important to put these things out there, but as a movie, it wasn't quite as satisfying of an experience as some of these other documentaries, like The Thin Blue Line, or like, I'm biased because I brought it, but Tower, which I think are taking really sort of innovative and unique approaches to telling their stories and really justifying themselves as movies out, and not just, telling the story or showing this footage. So I like the movie. I didn't know anything about this. I think the footage is crazy, and that makes it an engaging watch on its own. But I wish there was a little bit more to it than that.
I kind of wish they would have like roped in like orcas in the wild, like did like a half and half. That's only my like. I have no problems with the movie. I like the movie a lot, as depressing as it is. But like, I wish like they showed a contrast of like inside and outside, like. Get some people diving with the orcas or like in the wild, like show them that they're just not this insane creature that is shown. But yeah, and it's kind of interesting. Like I've studied a lot on orcas, which is just why I know these things. But it's like if like Tilikum got out of the pool, like and got back to things, a pod would have accepted him right away. He would have just been like the awkward, like socially awkward friend of the group. Like they are known to like bring like there's one off like near Iceland that has like a what is that, a narwhal that
Narwhal,
swims that swims with them, that's abandoned from his group and is now just a part of the orca's pod. Like
now, if you would throw 30 minutes of that in there, then that would
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's fast.
I
watched so many documentaries on orcas, but like they just accept him a part of the group. Like as he's just the socially awkward that doesn't do the same as the rest, so they just accept it. Mark, what's your thoughts?
This was one of the this was I I mean, I think like most of us have tried to cram all these movies in a couple of days, and this was a part of maybe one of the most ill-advised double features I think I've ever done. Um, what's interesting about this is that I I don't know if this is why I put it off for a while, but like it was, but I live in very close proximity to San Antonio, and San Antonio has a SeaWorld, and I would go there a lot as a kid. I mean, it's Texas, it's a water park, like it's hot out here. So, and it was also one of like, it was kind of like one of the bigger field trips for like my school. Like they would take us to SeaWorld and like we'd see like all like the animal stuff and we'd see the shows and like I remember it blowing my mind when I saw the whale show. Like it was some wild shit. And seeing this now, like, and it's like, man, but just putting in perspective, like how much, because I think we're talking about kind of how like these guys, like who, all talking about the trainers who got into the water with these whales and like did all the stuff, like they were lied to the entire time they were working there. Like they were told that, that, oh no, like the whales are good and they're happy here. They actually live longer here. And they thought, they were kind of hearing from experts on like how to interact with the animals and like they this is it's essential like I mean it's essentially a carny act a carny act with a 2-ton animal in the equation. Like it's crazy, like just kind of what's going on here. Like and it is such a wild. It was such a wild watch, especially since it it was a place that I like I said I got plenty of childhood memories and like my brother who lives like literally right behind the San Antonio SeaWorld and like him and his like and he got like season passes like to the water park and they go all the time and like this is freaking wild. I think I remember seeing a show kind of after pandemic. I don't think they got in the pool. I can't remember if the trainers
They're
got in
not
the pool.
allowed to anymore.
I don't believe they did. I read that they're phasing back into shows, even though they said they were going to take them out, which that was bullshit. They're still there, but
that wasn't their choice to take it out.
Yeah.
Then I'm pro whale eating everyone. I'm pro whale eating.
I mean, the craziest part of the whole thing to me is the way that they talk about Dawn's death after she died, like the way SeaWorld, like their narrative about it, and the guy on TV being like, or wherever he is, being like, if she was here, if she was alive right now, she would tell you that she, did something wrong. I was like, do you have no decency whatsoever? My God.
Yeah. And like their dorsal fins, yeah, they always collapse like in the like they don't it's very rare for them not to. Like no, like and like the gang up mentality of like when they don't like when they're in one with like they don't like they get abused, like they're in a short spot. You don't get that chance when you're in the ocean for like freely swim around. When you're in a tight knit thing, like they're very intelligent animals. Like they're crazy smart. Like so yeah. I can gush forever. Fuck SeaWorld. I hate that place. So I don't like if you go to it, it's you, like that's on you. I don't care at all. But like for me, I want to see an orca so bad. Will not be going to a SeaWorld ever to see one.
you can see one there. It's not like the happiest.
Yeah, no, no, thank you. Scores. It's mine. I'm giving it 5. I love this documentary. It's a great documentary. I recommend it to all. Especially because most people are like, I had no idea that was what happens to SeaWorld. Yep. It's more like my SeaWorld like warning for everybody. Like, don't. Matt, what's your score?
Yeah, I think like we said before, I really would have loved more of a balance to see some of the positive aspects of the outside. So I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Scott.
Yeah, I give it a 3.5. Again, it's definitely worth a watch. I'm glad I watched it, but just not quite a all-time documentary to me.
Yeah. Mark.
No, I still really liked it quite a bit. I was captivated. A lot of what the fuck moments in this movie. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Enjoyed it quite a bit.
So Cole gave it 3 stars. I saw that on Letterboxd, so it's probably too dense for him. Anyways, now on to Tower. Most creative by a large margin, I would say, of documentary, and it's a situation I wasn't very familiar with. I believe,
interestingly enough, Cody, you may have seen this or thought about it, but this movie, or the incident in this movie, the shooting, actually inspired another movie that we did on the roundtable a long time ago, which is Targets, the Peter Bogdanovich movie that Mike brought a long time ago, about the sniper who's up there on the top of the building just picking people off. I mean, that movie was born out of Peter Bogdanovich like reading about this incident. But anyway,
crazy. Okay, that's very interesting. But yeah, super creative. Knew nothing about it. I think I've seen like clips of this. I don't know if it. When did it come out again?
2016.
It was nominated for an Oscar, correct?
I don't think it was, which is crazy, but I don't think it was. I think it was just too.
I mean, the documentary award is like the wildest thing. They didn't nominate the Mr. Rogers documentary.
They didn't nominate Hoop Dreams.
Yeah,
they didn't nominate Hoop Dreams.
Yeah, they're stupid. Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's why I thought that it didn't.
No.
Okay, that's why I was thinking that I saw it like as a clip, like at the Oscars or something. I just know that animation style I've seen before, but fascinating stuff, and how they're able to tell this account and then like use the animation to like dictate it and like set up the scenario. I thought it was very fascinating.
And you could tell it's like almost inspired by the Thin Blue Line a little bit as well too. Just the idea of like reenacting these, events now in the present day as they might have been, and using like the words of the eyewitnesses, the people who were there and stuff, to make these recreations, because he doesn't know exactly where people were or what it looked like, and all these little details, but he's building that, assembling that from the words of these people, of the younger actors, right, or the ones that we hear in the movie, and then he reveals the real people at the end in live action. But I mean, just to say my part, because I brought the movie, but I think this movie's amazing, because it looks at what in my opinion is maybe the most important issue in America still today, which is gun control, mass shootings. We have the worst rate of that in the world, like by a long shot. I don't need to say everything. I think everyone is obviously aware, because we have another one every single day. But it looks at that issue, goes back to sort of the beginning, and so often when these things are reported on, we hear about the numbers, right? Hey, here's how many people were killed, whatever, and now here's everything that you want to know about the shooter, and here's his name, and why did he do this, and yada yada yada. We're going to examine everything. Well, this movie's not interested in that at all, right? You don't even find out what his name is until the very end of the movie, when they're like doing the news footage and everything, because that's not the story the movie's trying to tell. It's trying to tell a story about these people, and not just people who died, but yes, some of them, but it's kind of a memorial to them. But it's also just all of these stories of people who helped each other, and people, stepping up, and even the police officers. I was snide about the police officers in the Thin Blue Line, but the police officers in Tower were heroes. They were, because literally, I mean, it could not have hit harder for me, because it was when I rewatched it, it was a few days after the Uvalde footage came out of the cops just standing there in the hallway for 45 minutes while the shooter was picking people off, children off. That it could not have hit me harder when the cop says that line about, you can't do your job and have fear in your way, right? When he's up there in the tower, he's about to confront that the shooter. He's like, was I scared? Yeah, but I can't think about that, right? Because it's my job to go up there and to protect people and to confront this guy. And man, I don't know where we went wrong in the last 50 years, but obviously the police are not doing that nowadays. But yeah, anyway, and the whole animation, yeah, I think it's great because it's also tasteful, right? Like it could be really exploitative to just like recreate this really traumatic thing for these people, a mass shooting. It could be really exploitative and tacky, but I think the animation, it makes it more tasteful, and because it's clear you're seeing something that is just sort of a reassembled memory, and then when it fades away to reveal the real people in the end, the older versions. I mean, that's very moving to me. It really is. Like just the when he cuts away like that. So I think it's amazing. Like it's a movie about a horrific event, a mass shooting that kind of restores some of your faith in humanity, even as we continue to have, mass shootings every single day.
Yeah, I love like the Texas in this, when the cops like around that corner and just blast the shit out of the shit, like just guarantee just make sure that dude's dead. Fires the guy grabs the shotgun from the one just to put another. I'm like, this is Texas for you. I do like when they storm the thing. He's like, "Well, you better deputize me," and he's like, "I thought he was another one." He's just not. He's like, "Yeah, well, you're deputized. Get going. Like, let's go." Which seemed like a Texas thing for sure, but like, I think it just got me like right out the gate. Like, tower pretty easy to figure out. Just the context clues was there, like of the tower. But when that pregnant lady like walked out and then got shot, I still like you want to say in this like it's always those situations like you would like to be that person that says, "Yeah, I would do that." But those people that run up and grab them and take them off is
unbelievable. Yeah.
And like as the guy was like describing it, was like still to this day that fear like instantly came back to like talking about it.
Listening to the people talk is so interesting because it's like they are talking to their therapist or something. Like it is like they are, reliving that trauma, and like I don't know. It's fascinating. It's not just your regular talking head sitting in a documentary like this is what happened. It is like they are re-experiencing it, and like it is clearly like they are unburdening themselves by being able to talk about this.
Yeah. And he's just like them running up and doing that, and like the dude doing like the kid riding the bicycle on a newspaper route. Like he had no rhyme or reason of what he was doing. Like just whoever lined up in sight was taking aim, and it was just crazy. Mark, from being from Texas, like I knew way well before, like I know before you're born, I understand that, but like have you ever been to like that campus or anything like that, or have you looked around there? Like I'm just curious, like that's would be in your state when something like that happens. You also have the Uvalde and stuff like that, which is kind of crazy, but like just your overall thoughts of this documentary and stuff.
Yeah, I have it is a it's an event I've heard about a lot over the years. I got my aunt and uncle live in Austin. They bring it up, which funny enough, you did bring up like the most Texas. I don't even think that was the most Texas part of that documentary. The most Texas part of the documentary is everybody in town grabbing their rifle and then heading down to the campus, just shooting at the tower.
Yeah, that just randomly taking shots. Just like...
I was waiting for a cop to get shot by a civilian down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest here. This is probably the doc that I was dreading the most watching, just because I wasn't sure how I would really feel about it. Be honest, Scott, this is also not like the meanest mass shooting documentary you could have picked. You could have picked Newtown. That would have been.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to pick a mean one. Again, this one is. It's weirdly a nice mass shooting documentary, if there is such a thing. Yeah.
What a sentence.
I know.
I get it. I just like
you understand what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's just a wild statement, but you're right. Like, of all the choices, this was probably the most positive of the situation. I will agree with you. This movie works so much more that I didn't need to know the name or who the person was or what the situation. Like, everybody involved was that was just something that still just bothers me so much. It bothers me with the situations, but it bothers me that it is day and age. Like, I can't tell you, like, you hardly know anything about the casualties or who happened to what, but you know eye color, name, address, what they used, where they were, like everything about a killer in this situation. And they are the least important when the gun smoke settles. Like, they're the least important. Like, treat them as like a back page nothing. Like, I don't know if it would ever deter that, but that's just my thought process behind it, because the victims are crucially way more important in all these situations. And that's a movie. You haven't seen it, I will pick it for a roundtable. But Mass, I think it's just an incredible like conversation around this subject matter. But back to Mark. Sorry, I cut you off.
That's okay. No, that was one of the things I did kind of appreciate because we went like 70, not till probably 70, 75 minutes in that like they even mentioned the guy's name, which I found somewhat refreshing. But yeah, I mean, I will say, because I don't know, like, at least people do know this. If you look at my Facebook page, like, I grew up in Uvalde. I'm currently living in Uvalde. So like I really wasn't sure like kind of what it was going to get. It was honestly kind of a nice refresher, just kind of, because I think what this movie was really great. It does a good job of bringing out the humanity in everyone. I think if they would have this was just a straight documentary, it would have been really easy, I think, to vilify that officer McCoy, just because like we kind of see him like, because they kind of show him like driving around a lot, and especially at the end when like we see like that real footage of him just breaking down, like what if I just ran in there, you know?
What if I did something earlier?
We very easily could have like made that guy public enemy number one, but instead like he's kind of like this. He's kind of like this guy that's we see trying to wrangle up the civilians, trying to kind of keep everybody calm, kind of trying to set up a thing, and then eventually we get him with the weird that one civilian who just ran up in the tower, going in there, which was nuts. But no, like I am glad I watched it, just because like it is part of my state's history, and I was strange. It was strangely cathartic, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I think pretty much like everyone said, it's really a doc that kind of helps restore your faith in humanity. Like the woman that went out there and laid with the pregnant woman out there and talking to her, keeping her calm and things, and then the fact that she only saw her like maybe one more time in the hospital after that, and that was the last time she ever saw her. That someone has such a big impact in your life like that. And then I really liked the animation style. I think that really definitely helped make it easier to watch. It almost felt like a Richard Linklater film.
Well, that's what. Yeah, I mean, not just the animation, but I think again, the stuff that we're talking about like really getting into this community and focusing on the people, like all these interesting people, their individual stories. Like, it's almost like if Slacker or Days of Confused or something was a mass shooting documentary. Like, it's not just the animation. Obviously, the animation does evoke Linklater, but it's the Texas. It's the, I think the storytelling in all of it is also very reminiscent of how Linklater tells these stories. But
I have to wait till the next movie, but I just saw one of the most confusing things from somebody that was supposed to be here. Okay.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think they may have missed the point of one of the movies, but anyway.
Like, what?
We'll talk about it in a second because
okay, yeah. Anybody, anything else we want to bring up on this moment? Do not look at Letterboxd right now. Just wait.
Yeah, if you're, I would say just to go off what Mark said, if you are, anxious about watching a documentary about mass shooting, thinking it's just going to bum you out or whatever, I would give it a chance because yes, of course, it's terribly sad what happened. It's horribly sad what happened, and the movie doesn't skirt over that at all. But I think number one, it's going to give you a further perspective on the gun control and issues and everything that we have still facing us today, 50, 60 years later. But also, it's going to make you believe that there is some still good in humanity. There is still some good in humanity that we can find even in the situations where it seems like there are none.
I will say, like, the kind of, at least of the whole, was an easy one. I think the only part that kind of the only part that angered me was at the very end where, like, they're talking to the older version of the pregnant lady, and they see her, and she says, like, yeah, I forgive the shooter, which, I mean, I almost threw my fucking computer at my TV. Like, I was like, not gonna get any sympathy from me.
Yeah, it's in those situations. Like, I mean,
she's had a long time to live with that. So yeah,
I guess it's the person that takes it better cathartic for her to say that than just to live with it anymore, or just to have that. I guess if you live that long with hatred, like, it could really fuck you up. So that's probably why she said it. I agree, though. It'd be really hard for me to even reverse that. But I will say, like, mass shooting animated, like, situation, I was like, what the hell are we about to get in? Is really well done. Really well done. Scott, what's your rating on it?
5 stars. It's close to being in my top 100. It may be in my top
100. I'm at 4 stars. I think it's really good. I think it's good. I would definitely be on those list of recommendations for people. Bar messaged me and goes, I would really like, that's the one I would have brought if I could have been on. So that says something. Mark.
I feel like I'm just handing these out today, but yeah, I'll give this one 4.5 out of 5 stars too. Honestly, every choice everybody brought, it's pretty excellent. Not
good.
Even for as just like a weird time as we're having, like all of them good.
It's about to get weirder, Matt.
Yeah, these are kind of hard things to put ratings on, but yeah, I'm gonna go 4.5.
Yeah, I'm like, what would I want more from a mass shooting documentary? I don't know. Like, I don't know where you could. The score was just not to the level I needed. What? So Kaleb Koho can't be here tonight. We're going to go to Trophy Kids. His review is 3.5 stars, and his literal review says, "Fuck them kids."
Did he maybe watch the short version?
I don't even know. Can anybody, Mark? You've seen both. What?
He can't believe that girl missed that putt. He just can't believe she missed that putt.
Listen,
good.
Anybody here have children besides me? I'm just curious. Not shame or anything. I'm just curious. Okay, yeah, Matt. I figured Matt had kids. This angered me to a level that I knew was possible. I have very few things that just irk me to like sports. There's one thing that can trigger me, but that's just like I can get over that quickly. Mess with like animals that don't have a choice in the matter, and mess with kids. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing in this movie is short of child abuse to 100% degree.
The coach calls it out at the end. He says it. Yeah. He said the basketball coach says, "Oh yeah, this is child abuse." That's another thing that we have to discuss. Listen, your son's 6'1" right now. I'm sorry. Maybe he sucks.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it. All these kids, it took 3 seconds to look at what's his name, the football player,
Justice,
to tell you he does not want to play football. Mm-hmm. It takes an instant moment how he runs, how he moves, how he does everything. He doesn't want to do this. He is forced to do it. Every kid in this thing is forced to do it in one way or another. If Koho watched any, I don't know what the difference between the hour and 40-minute that I watched and the 55-minute episode. I don't know what gets cut. I have no idea. But when I watched that dad, how old was the golfer?
I think she was 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
When that motherfucker walked up the hill and said, "This stupid bitch," I would have taken the putter out of the bag and ended him on that course. I would have never looked at my child and said the words that he said towards his kid.
He wasn't looking at his child. He was looking at the paycheck.
What actual coaching does this guy do during the whole movie? We never see him do a damn bit of coaching. He does.
She hits, he goes, fuck. She hits,
exactly.
he goes, fuck.
He doesn't give her any sort of advice. Does this guy know anything about golf? Does he know golf? Is he?
He saw Tiger
a lot of books.
He saw Tiger Woods and said, "Cash cow."
Yeah.
This should be a Will Smith's follow-up to the King Richard one.
Every kid in this movie, I can tell without a shadow of a doubt, they are high school players, and that's about it. That's not bad. That's nothing wrong. Play your sports, find what you enjoy, do it to your best. The fact that this guy has spent $500,000 for his 6'1" point guard of a son that's hoping he gains 3 inches in between now and senior season. What?
But Cody, he looks really good when he's playing up against a bunch of white kids. So
we're not facing any brothers. What? You know what he should have spent? Somebody should have really told him about that hairstyle that he decided to use. I saw that on like Justin Timberlake and NSYNC in the 90s. What are we doing? My heart shattered watching that mom. Like, before you get the reveal that Justice's mom and dad are divorced, this would be a title card at the end of the movie. They decided to separate. Like, you just saw it on the writing. When he's sitting there about a girlfriend and he's just screaming at him and he's just trying to, like, the tears are welling up, but he knows he can't express himself and he can't talk. Like, you have a kid that's 15 and telling you that he just doesn't want to talk about this more. He's actually showing emotion to you and, like, letting you know, like, this is not going to go the way I want. So can we please just stop? And, like, I'm the man. I'll tell you when this conversation's over. I'm like, God, when he turns 18, he will never talk to you again. He will never say another word to you. Like, it's disgusting. I'm sorry. This movie made me, like, 7 kinds of mad. I just don't like it when it was an hour and 47 minutes of just parents trying to relive their youth or parents trying to get money out of these children or something. And it was just gross. I'm not saying it's a bad documentary. Like, it made me feel an emotion and it exercise, but I couldn't wait till the end of this because I don't want to see any of these human beings ever again. Like,
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it is well done. I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely give it a positive review. But if I do have one negative about it, it's kind of what Cody is saying, which is that at a certain point, it just feels like it's just piling on, right? Which, yes, that's what the parents are doing, right? They're just piling on the kids. But from a audience perspective, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I've had enough. And, like, I don't know that the movie is really advancing what it's trying to say by showing us, more footage, by showing us this horrible fight or whatever. So while it is, compelling, and I was never bored watching this or anything, like, I started it and I was like, maybe I'll just watch 30 minutes and then finish it in the morning or something. And I watched the whole thing, like, because I was hooked. But
it's the Big Daddy moment from Big Daddy when Julian is in kangaroo song, kangaroo song, kangaroo song, and Adam Sandler, all right, that was me. Like at one point, I'm like, I get it. These parents suck. Leave these children alone.
I will say, I do like that they included the tennis mom in here because she's a little bit different from the others. But
Allison Janney
still fucking nuts, though.
No, she's
Allison Janney.
What she is doing in her own way is also very wrong by like manipulating these kids using like religion and being like, oh yeah, God wants you to be out here hitting these tennis balls. We're gonna, pray that God helps you win the tennis match. Right. Yeah, now go have fun. And sure, she lets him go have a sleepover or whatever, but like, she's by no means the ideal. So I like that they gave us a little bit of a counterpoint to, the golf dad and the football dad, and
there's different
both basketball dads are pretty bad, but the one who literally gets the coach fired is probably, the worst. The other guy just screams at the ref the whole time and actually shows some growth at the end, right? Like, weirdly enough, that guy seems like the biggest douchebag at the beginning, but by the end, he's like, he's like, oh, I actually, I'm just happy for my kid. I'm proud of my kid, which I don't think anybody says that at any other point in the documentary, that they're proud of their kid. He's like, I'm proud of my kid.
Recognize the scholarship was for him.
I realized it's not about the basketball. I'm just happy to see him doing well. So he actually has some growth in the end, or he's just saying that for the cameras. But,
well, as the golf dad says, like, you can't tell your kid that you're proud of him.
Yeah, you can't. That's right. It's like it's J.K. Simmons in Whiplash. It's like the most harmful words are "good job." Like, man, these people are crazy.
Well, when he sits there too, that like I laughed really hard. It was like we're there with the coach and she's hitting shots and she's saying what she's doing wrong and that one went left, and he's like, speak up, and the coach like repeats what she said because he heard him clearly, and the age difference is like miles. Like, he's really old and heard perfectly. Like, shut up, Dad. Like, I was just like, but the dad, my favorite part of the whole documentary is like, are you stupid? You're stupid. You're so fucking stupid. And then you hear, please, parents, show sportsmanship. It's fucking stupid.
The basketball dads, it's pretty funny. Like, the other guy starts out and he's like, oh, I can't even sit over here because the other guy's just so, annoying and obnoxious or whatever. And then he is the exact same by the end of the movie. Like, if not worse. He's out here getting the coach fired.
That coach is doing exactly what he needs. That coach,
he seemed like
a good guy. Sucks. That kid sucks. I'm sorry. He sucks. Like, he was fine for a high school basketball team, but what you're hoping is Division I. And like, I loved all the clips at the end where like, 0 scholarships. You think? Or it's like the tennis players, they tried out, they got JV team. You think? Like it's, I just don't understand. Like, you saw Serena and Venus Williams and you're like, you know what? I got twins. We can make this happen. Like, you don't have the skill.
Also, she said they would not play against each other, which that is
not
true. They played against each other many times.
I was just like, this is just crazy. Like, this, but that dad just like, how much you spend on this? 100,000? More. I bought 2 Lamborghinis. I'm like, for high school basketball.
The basketball kid trainings, it made me think of like the Ivan Drago training sequences.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they weren't injecting stuff into him.
Oh, yeah, he's putting...
They 100% were. They stayed in the cameras.
He's putting creatine in his milk. He's trying to gain 25 pounds. And if he can just hit to 3 more inches.
But put him on the rack and stretch him.
That guy's kid was okay at basketball. He was better than the other kid. And that's what cracked me up, is the other dad being like, oh, yeah, man, if they just put, your son and my son in the game or whatever. And we're like, no, man, your son sucks, right? He is not one of the 2 best players or whatever. Like, you're trying to make it out. Like,
I just can't comprehend how delusional these parents are in their own little world to think, oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'll have a camera crew follow me around and see how great a parent I am at teaching the kid and everything. I'm gonna look amazing in this documentary.
What a fucking hoodwink. What a hoodwink.
It made me very grateful for my parents because, you know, we played youth sports, my brother and I. But we were never put under any pressure or anything like that. It was just, you know, play for fun. And it was obvious that neither one of us, especially me, were going to go anywhere with
I've
sports.
said this so many times. If you could go back in time and tell me, hey, you don't have to play football and you won't have pain in certain areas now, because it was never going anywhere for me. Like, I would quit 7 years earlier than I did. Like, my knee wouldn't hurt the way I was never going D1. Like, I was getting bull rushed in like football. Like, what are we doing? But like, I sit there and like I never got pressure from my parents. They're like, do what you want to do. And I'm like, okay, I'll just go out here for fucking 12 years having a blast, not doing shit, and now my knees killing me every day. Like, it's just crazy, like how like my parent like I just think Julius sitting there is like, all right, if I move the ball this way, what do you do? And he just stands there. He's like, you just gonna stand there like, I don't know. And I was like, oh, you're such a scumbag, like dad. Like you just your kid's gonna hate you. We all hate you. Your wife clearly hates you. She left you for a reason. Like, yeah. So Mark, you can talk about me and Scott just been venting, but I'm just so
Sorry, yeah.
I'm so mad at this movie in a not a bad way. Just I hate it because of these people.
But listen, I will never stop people from talking about a movie if it's clearly eliciting a reaction. Like you guys could have kept going for that. This little live thing could have been. It had a 3 at the beginning of it. You know, we've talked. So I don't care. I won't stop you. Yeah, this is exactly what I thought this movie would bring up. Like it just like I said, I saw that hour episode, which honestly, there's not like which maybe you felt that way. I think you'll probably see like the hour state of play episode. You'll probably think because a lot of it's just kind of like the highlights of stuff that happened. They kind of show like the big moments with the football dad, and I think kind of the tournament play, with the golf dad. So, and the one kid they do phase out is the Ian kid. They kind of phase out his story and his parent. Although his story, I think, is the most interest. Like the parent story, I think is the most interesting, in a sense that, like, kind of like how I think Scott or Cody, I can't remember who said it, that he starts out kind of okay, and part of me believes that the document, like the director, like wasn't even gonna talk to this kid, wasn't gonna go to this kid at all. But then like he just kind of recognized like, oh, there's like a kid working out with his dad, and like the dad's like, like when I was a kid, like I didn't have a dad to play with. That's why I thought I was bad at sports. So I'm gonna work out with my kid to make him good at basketball. I'm like, oh, that's a good story. And then we find out, oh, he's not yelling at refs either. Like he's like the ideal parent. And then like as just it goes along, and like the guy thinks like, okay, like this coach is keeping my kid from getting a D1 scholarship. Fuck that guy. And then like he's holding meetings on the court trying to like we just see how easy just you can become one of these parents. Like it's not like obviously the goal is to not be that, but if you just have like just this much belief in your kid, like you think like your kid's getting fucked over or whatever, and also if you're just a little bit toxic or really a lot toxic, 'cause every one of these parents is kind of shitty. I mean, we talked about the tennis. You guys talked about the tennis mom. Like those kids, like her twins are maybe the most self-aware kids in the world. Like they treat tennis as if like, well, our mom doesn't ask for much and she just wants us to play tennis. Dad left her because she's fucking out of her mind. Let's just, play a little bit of tennis and make her happy. It'll all be good. Amen. Let's move on. And I understand the hate for the golf dad. I mean, there's a lot of Michael Jackson dad in that dad, like in him trying to kind of create. like from the opening line, he's like, I have been studying how to make the perfect pro athlete. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, the one difference I think with at least the golf girl is that I think at the very least the girl, it's hard to decipher just because like she's 8 years old, but she's the only kid who genuinely feels like she wants to be out there, that she kind of wants to play golf and she kind of wants to be good, but at the same time she's also 8 and she clearly cannot decipher dad between coach. And she's kind of sitting there and like, why is my dad just like muttering bitch to himself and saying motherfucker really quietly? Like, what's going on? Like, why am I hurting dad? Is it my golf swing not good enough? Like, she just can't. And then, talked about the football dad. He's just like, to me, he's the worst parent. Mainly because like he's just not a good person at all. Because I feel like if the golf dad wasn't coach, things would at least be somewhat good. Like I feel like listen, he seemed like whenever like he was just being dad, like okay, like this is kind of okay, like just the golf stuff's making him crazy. The football dad is he just sucks. He's fucking yelling at his kid in a car because like because like his kid like threw a ball busting comment about having a girlfriend. He's like, you don't fucking tell me what to do. Like I'm the fucking parent. I'm the adult. I tell you what we talk about. Like he's going fucking crazy. And like you have to send his kid to go eat fucking pancake. Who Cody hit on the head. Doesn't want to play football at all. He clearly just went out to California to try to have a relationship with his dad. And it took him all but 5 minutes to realize that was a massive mistake. I don't know why the fuck I'm here. This is fucking stupid. Probably broke his own foot all, by the way. Like, at least this way, like, my dad won't bother me. Instead, he's going to send me to the gym to go do some bench press.
Oh, yeah. If I was in the gym in that situation, I'm dropping a dumbbell right on my foot. I'm breaking it in a heartbeat. Because, like, that's 6 to 8 weeks that you just don't have to really deal with him. The thing is, I find it very, like, confusing is, like, if he's able to sit in a car, scream at his son like that with his mom in front of him and a camera guy, what the hell do you do outside of this situation? Like, you are a scumbag. Like I'm telling you, like, there's some, like, child, like, that kid, my heart hurt so bad watching that kid just well up in tears and like his lip quiver and like couldn't say what he wanted because he knew he couldn't say anything. He just had to just deal with this. And that's a moment we caught. That's one moment we caught.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't catch the 7 others. Like when he gets in the car at the end and he goes, why did coach take you out? I go, I don't know. It's like, I feel like I'm always in trouble. Well, did you do something to Rebel? Yeah, exactly.
Like the dad's like treating him like like a fucking owner of an NFL team talking to a coach. Like, I don't know, losing season. Like, I want to see some ROI on my investment. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's a 14-year-old kid. What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, I feel bad because after 2 hours we get to turn this off, and they're still living.
He's still there.
And then Justice got out at least.
Yeah, Justice
and
got
then he
out.
sees the clip, like he left, and like, of course, we all saw that coming. Like he was not. He got a couple weeks with his mom, and realized real quick, I do not need to be. And I saw like the mom got leukemia, and I just like my heart sunk because that kid has no escape for 3 years. If she were to pass away, he is there. And he has to go back to dad, and there's no escape for him. Like this would be the dad. Like if you said, "Hey, I want to do musical theater." The fuck are you? What? Like, what if he's good at it?
It would be Fritz von Erich.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he's also the one parent who openly admitted on camera, yeah, if my kid told me he doesn't want to play football anymore, I would make him do it because he doesn't know what he wants to do. Like, which, I mean. You do you, bro.
Yourself, yeah.
He just needs to get headbutted. Okay, we'll get the scores. I'm 4 stars. It's a really good one. It was a good watch. It was a quick watch. I will take that dad from basketball any day just because, like, I'm not similar with my children. I'm similar with my sports teams. Like, what the fuck are we doing? The coach that got the coach fired is absolutely just arguably one of the worst parents. Like, anybody, my kid gets playing time. Like, your kid's like 5'10", like he's not gonna play. And when they played that one basketball team that was just fucking alley-ooping on them, he's like, this is gonna be a bad game. Bad game. I was like, this is gonna be a beat down. I'm like, you're damn right it is. Like, from the jump ball, it was over. Mark.
Hesitant to do this, but like
you can give it 4.25 since this is not technically on Letterboxd. So you can do it. I guess I'm gonna look at the 50-minute special.
Yeah, it's your only option if you want to. I mean, no, I've rewatched this documentary quite a bit. I can't get enough of it. I just find this whole topic just endlessly fascinating. I'll give it a 5.
Played sports.
Yeah, I go to 5 stars. Like, I cannot get. I could not wait to bring this up.
You get 5.25. You can. It's on Letterboxd.
I won't do that. Yeah, go ahead. 5 stars.
Matt.
I'm gonna give it a one quick question I would say to think about is, would we feel any different if like any of these kids actually ended up being superstars in their sports?
I mean, that's a good question because
like
Tiger Woods' dad,
if there's a parallel universe where this is the Tiger Woods is the little 8-year-old golfer and Michael Jordan, and then you get the Williams sisters of the tennis kids.
Well, if we would have just saw
King Richard, I mean,
if we would have just saw the mom or the dad for golf treat like he did Tiger, Tiger worked backwards. This kid was doing chips, and it's like it should have been on the putting green and then moved back to chips and then moved back to dry. Like that's how you do it. Only way if there's a baseball star and he turns out to be like Rafael Devers for the Red Sox. Like I'd be like, it was worth it. It was worth it, This is a pitcher. Like, for the Red Sox, take it. Beat that child. Do what you need. On that, no. If he went for the Yankees, awful parents. Caruso time.
4 stars.
Yeah, it's good. It's just a little bit too much. Yeah,
he's gonna have to answer.
You have to get his explanation.
Just not enough heart.
Have him put a little video response we attack on this.
We need an explanation. Because that means he just didn't watch this.
Maybe he doesn't know how to spell adults or something, or parents.
Okay. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Told me.
But before we start, I will say it once again. If you haven't seen this, and if you're at all interested in watching it, please pause this, come back to it, go watch it.
I was waiting for the old people to die before they could get the kid. I did not see the twist coming that it was the child.
Oh.
Let me tell you all, guess what? If I'm going to commit a crime, I know exactly. Me and Mark were talking about this. We know exactly where we're going. We're going to Buffalo. They will let you out on anything.
Well, not anymore, thankfully, because of this. But
right. But like, I'll show the screen. But you can go ahead and start. I will just show on screen what my reaction was to watching this because. This is the most like physical like pain I was in when that news revealed. So basically, like it killed me at the start. When the kid was sitting there, which I'm thinking is the kid. Just I know that's stupid thoughts, but like maybe that was the letter to his son. That's the little kid. Maybe I'll tell you when you're older. Like. And then just sits there and is like, I'll tell you when you're older. And the heartbreak breaks down. I'm like, I'm just sick. And then they tell the story of this guy that was so full of life and just funny and had everything going for him. And like his friends giving warning signs about this woman. And like, that's the best. He's like, you can do better. No, I really can't. Like had self-esteem kind of issues from the last breakup. And then he tragically dies by the hands of this crazy bitch. That is crazy. Like, is arguably crazy.
Not arguably about it. I don't know.
Fair. Sorry.
Mommy loves you.
That voicemail
my
Canadian
soul
government,
for
thanks
the
for
rest
joking.
of my life.
That voicemail is some of the most haunting thing I have ever heard.
You do not know. We're talking about how you can find the like positives in humanity and in Tower. Like you have not found the darkness of the human soul truly until you have seen Dear Zachary and seen
You see
Dr.
all
Sherry
these
Turner or
people,
whatever her name is.
you see all these people talk about Andrew in such positive lights and just how he was going to be they all wanted him to be the best man and how that family accepted everything. And like two of the most like loving old people that are in any movie ever, you just stand behind them and you root, and they did everything that they could and had to gave up their entire life, moved to this place, did everything, fought. And one of those things that's like haunting to this day is how she said that judge's name. Like they bring up that moment and she's like, I don't remember the judge's name, but like she says it so emphatically, like to the T, like eyes on the screen, just like that's the decision that they made to release them. Basically, Andrew passes away. Andrew has a child with this woman 4 months into it. She's still facing charges.
She murders him. Yeah, let's be clear. She murders him. Yeah,
kills him dead.
We're not gonna get sued.
But I guess the best way to describe it is how the legal system is over there. It's in it's in the States, right? Right, Newfoundland.
Yeah, no, it's in Canada.
It's in Canada, but like it's close to like where we're, whatever the case may be. But the legal system in there is so like drawn out and like.
Okay, let me just say though, that's not just Canada. That is the United States too. It takes years to put somebody on trial for a murder. That it's one of the many flawed things with our justice system. But like I was relating hard to that part where they're just like, now we had a hearing to talk about when we're going to have the next hearing, and then we had another hearing to blah blah blah, and now we continued the case 3 more weeks. I was like, yeah, this is literally my life.
Basically, so yeah, like I kind of feel that. So me and my wife adopted our children, and to go through that process out of the system, out of the foster care system into our home, got pushed for anything and everything. A lawyer had something come up, we're pushing it. The judge had something, we'll see you in 3 months. This came up, push it. It was constant. Basically, she ends up like going into jail for a time, has to give custody she ends up giving custody to these grandparents of them, but they have to abide by the law for like visitations and phone calls, and they can't decline anything, and they're given diapers and they're doing everything they can so there's no case against them that they've done anything wrong, so they can get custody of these children when she faces final charges for Andrew's death. The judge on the case releases this woman out of jail after like strong testimony from everybody. Like, this is a terrible idea. Like, no, bad. They end up, I guess, checking in or doing whatever the case may be. I forgot how, but she's gone for like 3 hours. They're on the hunt, and then she has taken her life and her son.
The craziest thing is that the judge sends a letter to her telling her what you're supposed to do. That is completely wrong. Judges are never supposed to give anyone legal advice. That is unthinkable to me that a judge would do that. Be like, okay, here's what you need to do to like appeal I don't even remember what it was exactly he was advising her to do, but he was basically telling her what a lawyer would tell her if she went to a lawyer, which doesn't seem like she has a lawyer. But
well, not only that,
it's unbelievable.
Not only that, the psychiatrist puts up $65,000 for this. You're the worst psychiatrist in the world.
Well, he was.
She probably had some dirt on him.
I mean, did he put up 65,000? We said they didn't have to put up any money. He probably said,
"Oh, hey, right, like
here's an IOU."
Yeah, he's a guarantor or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, we can't. I can't argue with the judge's thought process because they're like, hey, the person she wanted to kill is already dead, so she's not gonna kill again. I mean, that'd be crazy.
Who else? Yeah.
Mark, shut the fuck up. Don't you ever. I'm sitting there when that 3 hour, like when they're starting to talk about like searching everywhere for her, and I don't think I uttered another word besides no. No. It's bad. Like this is going to be terrible. And then to hear those news, I am not a crier. Nope. I don't have that ability most times. I was a mess. I was uncontrollable. Like I paused it. I didn't go like I just couldn't. I was shocked. I was stunned by this. And it's legal systems all over the world. It has so many problems and so many like just ways around situations, and I just don't understand how you can kill a person and then still just walk out because like, oh, that's the only person she wanted to die. Like what about these two people trying to take her children? Like she could also want them dead. Like
I do want to say that as a movie, I think it's very well done as well because the filmmaking style is so interesting in the movie. It's like no movie that I've ever seen before. The like way that the movie is formally, and it works because number one, it's like it's clearly an intentional choice, right, to do this like really quick editing, this really like aggressive narration. Like, all of a sudden we're flashing back and forth between, oh, he's going to visit, Zachary, and he's interviewing the people about Andrew's life and all this stuff. And then like all of a sudden it's just January 15th. We have a bond here. Blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, oh, but like that has to be how it felt for these people in this situation. Like that's literally how it felt. Just, you can't even mourn your son or get on with your life because this whole thing is just every week or whatever, there's something new happening with this. But also there's like a amateurish quality about it, which is effective again. I think like it's clear that it is just this guy who is maybe not like the greatest filmmaker that we've ever seen. He's not Errol Morris, but he like has this conviction to make this film first about his friend who died, and then obviously the story changes. And I think the personal stake that he has in it, it could come off as forced or whatever. Like when you're listening to the narration, you hear him like literally trying not to cry while he's narrating the film. It could be like, okay, man, like this seems a little like you're putting it on for the cameras, but it never seems like that. Like it's clear that this is just how he feels, and he is just pouring his heart into this movie. And so I think like as a movie as well, not just as a crazy story, like it's really well done. And I can't imagine, like he sent this movie to all of the lawmakers, like to try and get them to change their mind about bail reform and everything. And I can't imagine a more persuasive argument that somebody could have for what he's advocating for than like this movie.
I just want this on the record how fucked up this custom poster is on Letterboxd. How is that even an option?
Who created that? Oh my gosh.
I went, what? Not that I went like looking for a custom poster for this, besides like don't watch this if you're sad or yeah, I was just
like shopping on display, like trying to add to your collection.
Yeah, just give me a nice metal poster of Dear Zachary. Yeah, no chance. Like I just thought, like if I watched this with my wife, like how uncontrollable she would have been. Like this would have ruined her days for like weeks. Like I just remember just staring at the screen. It's kind of like how I felt at the end of, I brought it up twice now, Mass. It's just like like sadness that I felt during that movie. It's kind of like this because like it's something that real heart emotions, like how much more pain does these group of people need to experience in life? Because I could never imagine like losing a son, like overall, like that would just uncontrollable.
And
But
then having to play nice with the woman that killed your son for months.
You're in the same room with her. She's playing with the baby. She's talking about you being grandma and grandpa. Like, you're the murderer of my child. And then play nice, do everything, and then get that taken away from you again. Like, you had a likeness of your son, like, made, like, he's there. Like, you have not a re-chance or anything, but you have a person to talk about your son with, to grow and teach you about the man that they lost. And because of a corrupt system, you freely let her have possession of this kid, and just to kill the child.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we have to have innocent until proven guilty. Don't get me wrong, in our legal system to work, but the child custody thing is it's crazy, because having worked in family law for a short period of time, I'm sure it's the same way in Canada, but like, there really is nothing that they can do in that situation, because the mom is the only biological parent who is alive, right? So the biological parents' rights trump everyone, even if it doesn't matter that Andrew has died and his parents are left. They have to go through an entire process if they want to even be able to try and get custody of the child. And so it's just one of those situations. It's like, we have to, there has to be some sort of, law for providing for these sorts of situations where somebody is put on trial for like a serious violent crime like this, because as it stands, the judges don't have any choice. Like, you have a biological parent, their right trumps everybody else. And so you have to give the kid back to them.
Hear the older couple talk about, we thought about it numerous times about, like, where would we go? Like, we drive, there's only 3 ways off.
Yeah, we're going to kill her. Yeah.
Like, yeah, if we could have just gotten off the island, like, if we could have just taken him and gotten away, like, if we would have just been able to act on that plan instead of playing nice and doing and I'm just like, gosh. And now they're advocates. I don't know if they're still with us at this. I don't know.
I tried to find.
They
are.
are.
At least as of last year, they're still with us. So
that
was the last time I was able to find anything.
And they're still actively, like, looking for, reform in the justice system, which is great. But again, it's just like, it's so sad that, like, it's so sad that this situation had to even occur for anybody to, like, try to provoke, because there's multiple cases over, like, that just people get out. Like, I've watched a lot of true crime or whatever, where people, like, get out and commit a crime and get fed up and they get back out and they're committing the same crime. Like, what? Like, I understand guilty. Like, she should get a fair trial, but at the end of the day, she shouldn't get custody back to the kid until she's out of the criminal system. Like, that should have been the rule. Like, and how, like, she took one life. What's another to her? Like, she don't, like, I'm not saying that's, you don't, killers just multiple kill, but, like, gave me no evidence to not believe that. Like,
and she was trying to frame a guy too when she did it. So.
Yeah. And he's her voice is, like, scarier than anything. Like, again, this documentary changed my entire, like, outlook on things. But I can't talk about how it's absolutely incredible. It's an absolutely incredible documentary that has so many twists and turns that are real. Like, at the end of the day, you're hoping a movie has a twist where sometimes I was like, oh wow, didn't see that coming. I had no fucking clue where this was going. I had I just wouldn't cross my path that they would let her out and give that child a freedom. Crazy.
I mean, you knew it would be bad. Like that. I mean, that was the thing. Like with me, like, I was bracing because I know everybody talks about how this documentary, how fucked up it is, like, the whole time. I knew something bad was coming. Like, cause okay, like, she killed a guy, she has a baby, like, that's bad. But there's 30 minutes left. There's something that's gonna happen, which is just, I mean,
it was sad enough before the child. I was still distraught by Andrew's death. Like, I was still like, this guy seemed like This guy would have played in this community.
I thought about that while we were watching that because
I was like, this
I
guy could have been like an average Joe that played here, like just a happy-go-lucky guy that did everything, and just it's just
makes you realize like the impact that you have on the lives of the people around you.
Yeah,
and then so.
I will say this. I think I don't know like who does the awards, or Nick or whatever. We should find a way to incorporate Roundtable in that, because we should have an award for just like the meanest movie, like to give on the show. Like is Matt?
Well, Michael Jackson, This Is It, I think leads the way. No, or Poggy Beach. I think those lead the way right now.
I was thinking about Brian throwing Terrifier 2 at us. I thought Terrifier, nothing was going to beat Terrifier 2.
But that's actually kind of a good movie. But...
if you cut like a 40 minutes.
Matt comes in here, throws a grenade in the room.
maybe even if they don't include one, maybe next year like we'll do like a award like a look back, like hop on call, just talk about like the movies of the past year. We'll get star ratings. Matt.
Like I said before, it's hard putting ratings on these movies, but this is
just make it a banger.
I've never had a movie. I've never had anything where I've experienced the emotion.
I'm glad that Koho didn't review this. That didn't happen.
This is a movie that it's going to sit with you for a while after you watch it, and it's 5 stars.
Yeah, it's a 5 for me. It is arguably one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. The amateur style of it, like everything, just I would not want somebody that not connected to this film tell this story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would even hit as close. I think it would feel true crime-ish. I think the amateur aspect of like the guy saying, "Let me tell you about your dad," like, and you, like, that's just meant. I think it's great. I think it's absolutely great. Okay. Mark.
I mean, it's a weird thing. Everybody talks about how, like, like this movie's gonna elicit a reaction. It's hard. Sometimes you wonder if this movie absolutely lives up to that reputation. Like, it just try to go in is without knowing. I mean, even though we kind of spoiled the whole fucking movie, like.
If anybody watched this, I will kick you right in the face. Like you should not have heard anything I said before. Like
we gave you warnings.
I'm okay with Tim not editing any of this part of it. Just let it free roam until he sees it.
No, and it's fucking brutal, but man, like I was captivated the whole way through. It's amazing. 5 out of 5. 100%.
We'll most likely never watch this again. I'll be honest.
The pacing is amazing too.
Because I'm on a show called The Roundtable
all the time.
I've seen this movie like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, I do watch Spotlight all the time, but also I'm on a show called The Roundtable, and Matt Quayler brought this movie this week, and I having seen it before, I had to watch it again to refresh my memory. So I give it 4.5 stars. You will never forget watching this movie, no matter who you are.
All right. So some news. I haven't even told Scott or Mark this, so it's kind of separate from what
he just told me.
It's so it's kind of separate from what we do, but I have so we did the Sight and Sound top 100. I have the top 100. I filmed some stuff. I lost some footage. It was a chaos mess. So what I've decided to do is we're going to double up on Roundtable. No, Scott and Mark are not included. Like, they won't be included in a normal panel. They will be, if they want to, be in the rotation. What we're basically going to do is we're going to treat it into a roundtable. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewatch 5 of the movies, each list as we go up until we get to all the top 100. They will all be released. But it's going to be a fresh view on everybody. Thoughts on those movies, thoughts on the list. I'm trying to pick and choose people that like either put it on their list or people that have never seen it, something like that. It's going to be different of you, but go ahead.
So we're going like first episode will be 100 through 96, those movies.
Correct.
Okay. And you're going to go all the way through. Okay.
And no one will know the movies into it. So I'm going to say I need the people for episode 1. I will kind of, if I get multiple, if I get 5, cool. I'll just keep those 5 and we'll roll with it. I think Kirk is going to join me as like the second host for it, just through the situation, just because it's kind of a wireless view on it. But I want to keep like a rotation of people, so it's not the same panel like a top 100. So you just get the same people's view. And at the end of the episode, we're going to actually like, with their decisions, kind of rank where we go with where the movies would be at. So yeah, I will be planning that out. It will coincide with the normal roundtable. Roundtable will still be once a month. It will be 5 general movies, random things. The only time it will be, this is the one year that I will nix or veto, like if it's in the top 100. But those are like the best of the best, so rarely they show up on roundtable. If they want to put it on there, I'll bring them on that episode, is where it will basically be. But the first episode is really funny, just with the movie breakdown. I think it's going to be funny with Kirk sitting there. But like, no one will know the movies. I don't want anybody like, oh, I don't want to be on there. No, like, these are your 5. I need to watch.
Please make Kirk watch Titanic. Please make Kirk.
Well, Kirk's going to be on there for everyone, so he'll be watching at least everything. So if it made the list, it will be there. So, but I will have Mark. I will have Scott. They will be in Matt. I will have the normal roundtable guest on it. I just don't want to stick to a thing. And then the next one is back to a normal roundtable. I can't think of all the movies that we picked, but Chinese Bookie. I don't know the full title.
Killing of a Chinese Bookie. I was just looking at it one night in Miami. Was chosen. I chose How to Blow Up a Pipeline.
Oh, nice.
When Harry Met Sally was picked. Brick. And the last movie is Shadow, the martial arts movie.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I get to do directorial debut it on Video Store with Brick, so that's good. Okay, thank you all for doing. I love this episode. I will probably do another documentaries episode down the line. I think this was not a lot of fun, but it was very entertaining to be here and like let our emotions go. So that's great. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.